Thank you, everybody, for your patience as we reset the room. Obviously, in the last 2 or 3 years, the content that we've been curating at IMS has had a huge shift, a positive shift into dealing with real issues. We've evolved a lot over 12, 13 years as the industry has matured and grown up. And we're now in a situation where we have real issues facing individuals, artists, managers, anybody who works in this business with trying to live this crazy lifestyle and culture and this magical culture that we've created. We've now reached a point where there is a big concern in society, but in our industry, about the well-being of our health and our mental health. We've seen tragic situations with the passing of the great Tim Bergling, and in the last month, Keith Flint from The Prodigy. If that's not enough to make us all come together to try to find some solutions, I don't know what is. I love this industry. I'm very proud of this industry. I'm in it for life, and I want to live this life. And around us here today are some of the leading artists who've been driving this scene forward for 25, 30 years. Some incredible practitioners from all corners of the world who are experts in health and mental health, managers. We have all kinds of people here. But most importantly, I'd like everyone to welcome Klas Bergling for coming today and trusting in IMS and Pete Tong to have a discussion about the Tim Bergling Foundation.
Thanks, Ben. So, yes, Klas, welcome, and thank you for coming over and speaking to us today.
Thank you. Is it working?
Can everyone hear? Yeah. Okay. Klas, you recently announced that you're setting up a foundation in Tim's honor. Can you tell us some more details about that, and specifically what causes you're going to be looking to support?
Yeah. We are setting it up to do preventative work for mental illness and suicide. And we are also focusing on threatened animals and nature, which was Tim's passion, and also the climate, which is more or less connected to that question. And then we finally have more social contribution, for example, hunger, or it could be young boys that are left, like Afghanistan boy in Paris, for example, kicked out from Sweden and have no place to live. So the church will help them. So that's the 3 or 4 courses, yeah.
And you told me, we spoke previously, but you'll obviously start in Sweden in terms of the help around the issue of suicide.
Yeah.
And also for the people affected by these events.
Yeah. We have just started this foundation up, so this year will probably be a year where we look around, try to get to know more about the organizations. And first of all, we start in Sweden, because that's where we live. So it's more motivated to do it there. And there's an organization called Suicide Zero, which works with preventative activities. And then there are a few other organizations, among them one that also helps people that are suffering from this. So, that's it.
I think over time you said you want to put yourself out there to obviously get educated on what other partnerships you might be able to come to you from around the world. You said you've had a lot of people offer help, but you were specific that the initial funding of this thing is going to be done just...
The initial funding, we will do it ourselves with the money from Tim's music and the money that are in the companies. So it will be... So we will sort of start the financing ourselves, Then we will, of course, connect to people, specialists, and important people that can help us to bring the word out or help us to work in the way we want. So, if that was what you... Yeah. Mm.
And there is plans this year, isn't there? Discussions underway about a tribute concert happening, possibly two. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, two. We are planning one in Stockholm in October, which is strictly Avicii music. So we don't have any other music, and it will be mainly performance by singers and an orchestra. And in Los Angeles, we have been contacted by a guy called Chase, which you know, and they are planning a concert which is a little bit different. It's go from 11 in the morning to 11 in the evening, and it will be mainly DJs, and Avicii will be a part of that. So it's not a 100% Avicii concert, but it's also contribution to the foundation.
Okay. What happened with Tim put a huge focus on mental health, particularly in the DJ and electronic music community. Not just DJs either, but the managers, the tour managers, people that work at record labels, every people that run the clubs. As a parent, what do you see as the biggest issues that need to be addressed and raise awareness and education around?
Well, it's a little bit hard to say just like that, but I think the sleep, the planning of the daily life as a DJ, and travels where you don't get any rest between, perhaps. You travel a lot, you sleep less, and of course, depending on the individual, the pressure is depending on the individual. Some people can handle it perfect, some people don't. So, I mean, that's really something individual. Mm.
And what do you think about the, in particular with the drink and the drugs, do you think that, this is something you touched on earlier, but the alcohol companies, for instance, maybe do something more proactive, like the cigarette companies were forced to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say. I understand that it's harder to make any change, but I said it yesterday. I mean, it's not many jobs that you can drink while you work, or you're allowed to drink. I mean, it's very seldom. And if you start drinking at your job, your manager is supposed to take care of you quite soon. But in this case, it's different. So that's the problem, I think. Part of the problem. Drugs are more sophisticated. You don't see them, and they don't smell. So.
I think the other danger, obviously, especially for people coming into the business when you're 16, 17, 18, often shy and sensitive, that drugs can cover up the anxiety, or the drink particularly can cover up the anxiety, and no one's there to really pull you out of that.
No, I think it's probably something many of us went through when we were younger, that we tried to take some help from alcohol or something like that to be a little bit braver, and especially here, when you're supposed to motivate thousands of people and keep the machine going, so to say. So it's a problem, yeah.
How did those kind of stresses and strains with Tim kind of manifest on family life? And we talked a lot last year here about people making interventions or leaning in. What you wanted to talk a little bit about that, because you did that. And
we did that.
And did that come from him, or did he? I think he resisted.
No,
right?
It didn't come from him. It came from us. It came from the tour manager, the manager, and me. We discussed things, and we decided because they saw the situation was going out of hand. So in the first time, Arash, Tim's manager, and I stopped him, and he was very mad, and he didn't forgive us for that. So we were
even when he was ill.
No, yeah, absolutely, because he thought that he could continue. So we were forced to cancel shows, and the next time it was a bigger intervention, which was held here in Ibiza, where all his friends, tour team, everybody, managers, his brothers, me. So we all sat and met him one evening here. Very hard.
Yeah. Do you think he at some stage you referred to him as almost like the captain, the CEO of his own company? Do you think he made decisions because he thought he didn't want to let everyone down, or he had a pressure to keep this kind of machine going? Or
yeah, maybe a combination. I mean, he had his contracts, and there were constant, discussions, I think, on the road. But at the same time, I mean, he was interested in his business, so it's a conflict, of course. And when he started up, I think you know it, he had high goals, and he was producing music. So it's a conflict. I mean, on the other hand, you feel the resistance to go up on stage and do all this, lift yourself, and on the other hand, you want to do it. And afterwards, I can imagine that it's such a relief, and you are very happy because it went well. So, I mean, it's a complicated and complex situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can also be quite a lonely one, when you're I know you wanted him to perform with a band, so he had more people around him, or have musicians on stage.
Yeah, of course. I'm very lonely, I think.
When on a positive side, when you did get him to stop, and when he stopped, what kind of changes were you then able to put in place around him, in terms of?
He'd
fallen out of love with the whole process by then. That's what he went and said in an interview I read in the Rolling Stone in between, that he just forgot what he was doing, and he kind of needed to reconnect.
Yeah. If we take what's happened when he stopped, canceled shows, touring. No, but when we stopped in the first time, is that what you mean? If what kind of result? Well, we could question the results in the first run, because he didn't really admit anything. So he felt locked in and was very angry, and he didn't want to go to any retreat. He wanted to do it at home. So we get a very, very good specialist doctor that came to him, and psychiatrist, established very well in Stockholm. But it came to an end where he more or less ran away after a couple of months. After the other intervention, the big intervention, things got better. So he got out of some medicine that he had been addicted to, which originally was this Oxycontin or Conton or whatever. They are very generous in the States with these kind of pills. And it destroys a lot. So, and he was on something else called buprenorphine, because he got that to get out of Oxycontin. So, I mean, one pill follows the other pill, and you think that the other pill is good for you because you will get off the Oxycontin, etc. So, but at that time he got out of the medicine, so he was much better. And I would say that after that, it was a change that started and continued in the right direction.
You said you had to change some of the people that were around him in terms of the advice he was getting as well. Like you were alarmed about how easy it was to get those pills in America.
Yeah, when it comes to his medical absolutely in Los Angeles, we succeed to change from one psychiatrist to a guy that really were, professionalist and put some pressure on Tim, and we did some other changes too. But at the same time, it's not easy to make a change.
No. Okay, well, thank you for coming to talk to us today. I'm sure everyone in this room and the extended family, the IMS, will definitely be there with any help and assistance we can give you with the concert and with the foundation.
Okay.
So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete, and Klas, thank you for being with us. It's been lovely to get to know you in the last few days, and we'll all support you with the foundation going forwards. Before we go into the wider debate, Tristan Hunt from AFEM, the Association for Electronic Music, would like to introduce the Electronic Music Guide to Mental Health.
Thank you, Ben. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tristan Hunt, Regional Manager for the Association for Electronic Music. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm sure you'd all like to join me in thanking Pete for the very poignant interview and applauding Klas for his bravery, sincere words, and commitment to helping our industry through the launch of the Tim Bergling Foundation. I'm sure we'll all agree it's the most worthy of initiatives, not only because it offers the possibility of significant help for many people, but this is a huge credit to Tim's memory and ongoing legacy. The launch of the Tim Bergling Foundation further underscores the huge importance that's been given to the subject of mental health by our industry and the unwavering commitment by so many in our community of helping those who may be struggling with mental health problems whilst aiming to prevent others from ever getting into difficulty in the first place. Here at AFEM, our aim is to help those suffering with mental health problems. It's absolutely central to our work. As part of my role at AFEM, as Regional Manager, I also co-chair AFEM's Health Working Group. I've had anxiety for my entire life. I'd go to therapy 3 times a week to try and counter that anxiety. Social anxiety is one of the things that I have greatest, so if you see the microphone shaking, that's why. If we turn to my right, so behind some of you that are sitting here, you'll see an image of the new guide which we're soon about to launch. In early 2017, AFEM founded a health working group dedicated to helping protect the mental and physical health of fans and professionals in our community worldwide. Our group initially comprised of 6 members. Fast forward to now, and it comprises a band of over 34 highly experienced individuals from around the world, comprising every sphere of our industry, who are passionately committed to helping mental and physical health and preventing those suffering in our industry. Our health group's priorities range from tinnitus awareness, event safety, harm reduction, through to mental health awareness, and suicide prevention initiatives, and championing the mental health first aiders in every workplace. With the tragic passing of Avicii in April 2018, and more recently the loss of Keith Flint from The Prodigy in March of this year, sadly not to mention the many others from our community whose dark times will never make the media, this begs a key question. Where are we? Why? And how are we still failing as an industry? Mental health and suicide are one of the key causes in our industry of death amongst young men. It's an issue which is not germane to electronic music. It's a societal problem. The World Health Organization states close to 800,000 people die of suicide every year, which equates to roughly 1 person every 40 seconds. Suicide is a global phenomenon that is broad-based, extremely nuanced, and impacts the whole of our society. In the UK, USA, Europe, male suicide is often called the silent killer, as it is the single biggest cause of death for men under the age of 45 in the UK. In the US alone, 1 in 5 adults experiences a mental health condition every year. Statistically, men are more susceptible to suicide than women, in large part because historically women have been better at sharing their experiences than men. However, a shift is happening. With the high levels of illumination given to the subject by conferences and organisations like IMS, AFEM, and also She Said So, things are really starting to change. Over the last year, the conversational volume on mental health has increased and been turned up to 10, and it shows no signs of quietening. With every conversation we have, the stigma on mental health is being ever more eroded. Positively replaced by informed and compassionate understanding. Whether you're a main stage artist just starting out or working in one of the hundreds of ancillary roles that enable our industry to flourish, mental health can impact us all at every stage in our careers. In direct response to the mental health crisis that our industry is currently experiencing, over the last year, AFEM has worked with Music Managers Forum, Music Support, and helped musicians to develop the new electronic music guide to mental health. So again, if we just turn to my item behind you, we see a quote that was actually given by Pete at IMS last year, where mental health was made a keynote of IMS, which showed the very importance that our industry was giving to it then. We move on a year, it's still prominent, it's still headline. The guide's aim is to further normalise and destigmatise mental health issues in our industries, issues we can all be impacted by at any time in our lives. It does this by providing expert but easy to understand advice for individuals working in our community at every level. The guide positively addresses a wide range of crucial topics, from tinnitus, hearing damage, through to anxiety, depression, and the impact of loneliness and sleep deprivation. The guide also incorporates an international directory listing numbers worldwide where you can get immediate help and secure information and specialist advice. Most importantly, it offers an easy-to-understand advice on these issues and maintain well-being and peak performance, regardless of what your job might be. As part of IMS's commitment to supporting AFM and mental health more broadly, the electronic music guide to mental health will be released soon to all IMS delegates and to our industry more broadly following IMS in the weeks to come. We ask you all to look out for it. Please read it and share it far and as wide as possible. This is an important step in helping maintain the health and well-being of everyone that makes this such a special place to work. If you have any questions or would like help to promote the guys to your networks, I'd be delighted to speak to you after this panel. As noted, the problem of mental health is complex, nuanced, and it is an issue which those in dance music are especially susceptible to. It needs our undivided attention. The conversation is just beginning. At every level, we need to keep talking, acting, caring, in order to save lives, create lives worth living. Always remember, regardless of whatever you do, however you feel, you're not alone. Thank you.